Good morning. Welcome to the Yarn and Ewe Girl Podcast. My name is Janine. Thank you so much for joining me. It is Sunday, June 26th, and I'm coming to you today because I normally would podcast on Mondays, but I am working tomorrow, so I won't obviously be podcasting. I will be at work. So I'm coming to you a day early. I hope that's all right. If you are a new viewer, thanks so much for checking me out. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back and spending time with me. I like to spend time with you guys every 2 weeks, and I really appreciate your support. If you like the video, be sure to subscribe to the channel to be updated on when I do little podcasts, and keep in touch. I can be found on Ravelry as Yarn and Ewe Girl. I am also on Instagram as Yarn and Ewe, Facebook as Yarn and Ewe, Twitter as Yarn and Ewe, all those places. I do have a website also where I sell yarn and knitting supplies, and that is yarnandewe.com. And that's where you can find me on the internet. I think we should just get started. I don't have notes today. I'm just going to tell you, I'm winging it today. So I hope that is all right. I hope I don't bumble through too much. I'm just going to kind of go with it. I didn't really have time last night. Had a girls' night out with my sister and friend Sabrina, and didn't really have time to do notes, which I normally would have done. And this morning was a little chaotic. There's a lot going on here. So anyway, I hope that's okay. We'll bumble through, make things work. I'm pretty sure I've got things kind of set up in my head. And so we're just going to start right off with finished objects, which I have one this week, which is exciting. I didn't have any last week. I did finish my, I'm wearing it, my Budding Bluebells shawl. This is the Budding Bluebells pattern by Mina from the Knitting Expat. They are she and Nicole from Hue Loco are hosting a knit along through the end of June. So you just have 4 more days to make sure, if you are involved in this knit along, to get your picture up on the finished object thread. That is on Nicole's Hue Loco podcast Ravelry group page. And so I finished mine shortly after the last podcast and got mine up there. And yeah, it turned out really great. I did this. It's huge. So I'll take it off, and I kind of have to tie the ends when I do these because it's so long. Like, I don't know what to do with all the extras. So it goes all the way. So here, and oh, I'm having a hard time. Sorry, guys. It's giant. I didn't measure the wingspan of it, but I mean, it's way longer than my arms and the computer. So super warm and squishy, and oh, just lovely. This yarn is Mrs. Crosby's. It's her the Satchel blend, which is not really a blend actually. It's just a superwash merino single ply. It is in the colors. The multicolor here is Rupel's Griffin. And the gray, it's kind of a gray olive actually when I look at it in different light, but the gray is Smoky Granite in the edging. And I used 1 skein of each. I almost used up the entire skein of the Smoky Granite. I literally, this is all I have left in that skein of Smoky Granite. So, and I followed the Mina's suggestions on how many repeats to do on the pattern, and that gave, like, it was just enough. I don't think if I had made this colored section any bigger or done any extra repeats, I would not have had enough of the gray to finish off. So I followed hers and I got exactly what was needed. And it turned out great. I love it. It's super squishy. It's a little bit warm right now to wear it, but I thought I would persevere and show it off for you guys. But it's really really lovely knit. It was a little difficult, this bumpy textured pattern here. There was, I had a little bit of difficulty in the beginning, but I kind of modified it and it made it a little bit easier for me. And it was not that the stitch, not that the pattern is difficult at all. It was just that that particular stitch I had difficulty with because I knit too tightly or knit more tighter than she does. I had a hard time, so I had to adjust it to make it a little bit easier for me. But I got the same look that her pattern called for, and that was fine. So that is my finished object. Let's see, I do have this yarn on my website. So I have a bunch of different colors, lots of variegateds and a couple different solids. So if you are interested in doing this pattern, you can find the pattern on Ravelry. It's called Budding Bluebells Shawl, and if you want to use the yarn that I used, I have some in my shop, so feel free to go on there and check it out. Or any multi-variegated color fingering weight yarn with a solid border that you think would be lovely would work for it. It just calls for 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn. So that is it for finished objects. As far as for knitting finished objects, I do have a sewing finished object, but I'll talk about that after the knitting. I actually have 2 sewing finished objects, and one of them you can kind of see in the background here, but it's just my obsession, my secondary obsession, I should say. So I'll talk about that, though, once we move on to sewing works in progress, I guess, or sewing stuff. But I have quite a few things that are on the needles right now, and so let me move on right away to works in progress. And the first one is hanging out in my, I'm drawing a blank. This is my Lantern Moon project bag. Thank you, Lantern Moon. And it I bought at a local shop in Portland called Twisted, and it's just this nice big drawstring bag. It's really big, good for holding like sweaters, and it has all these little pockets, which I always have loads of stuff in, like crochet hooks, or for some reason I have Advil. And I have a darning needle. You know, I throw stuff in there. I'm not the most organized person, so this is sort of my catch-all. And then I put my little snail, if you guys saw this, I put my little snail tape measure on here. I was going to put it on my keychain, but that's just like way too much extra for my keychain. But so I decided to attach it to my bag, so I always have a tape measure with me. And this I got from my international sock swap partner, and it's so cute. Just this little snail tape measure. So I think it's adorable, and I was so happy to have it, and I love that it's got this little attachment thing here. So anyway, in this lovely Lantern Moon bag, I have my flax sweater. So the pattern is, let's see if I can find the top here. The pattern is Flax by the Tin Can Knits. And I am doing this in Madeline Tosh DK. The color is Cove. And I am making the large size. And I'm making the large size, which is not normally my size. I'm making the large size because the pattern is written for a worsted weight yarn, and the gauge for the pattern is 18 stitches per inch. This is a DK weight yarn, and I'm getting 20 stitches per inch on a size 7. The pattern, so I had to adjust the pattern, obviously, because if I knit my right size, I would probably be making like a 27-inch chest if I was trying to make the normal size. So the large size is supposed to make like a 49-inch chest, I think, or 45. I can't remember exactly. I don't have the pattern right in front of me. But it should be about a 42, I think, or 43-inch chest. And I kind of wanted it a little big. I did put it on. It is, the other day when I got to the armholes, and it does fit. It has a little extra room. I think that will be great, and it'll be more so when it's blocked. So the flax sweater is just a basic knitted pullover with it all done in one piece, so seamless. You start at the neck and you work your way, you do these increases by the arms. And then on the arms here, you have this little garter stitch pattern that adds a little bit of interest. So I really like it, and it's turning out really great, I think, so far. I was a little annoyed, like, the yarn, I love Battle and Tosh yarn, and I don't know what was going on with this particular skein. But, so I've done I had like a half a skein, or more, I'm not exactly sure, but I've done maybe about 1.5 skeins. And in the second skein, when I added it, I came across quite a few places where the yarn had split kind of, but was still slightly connected. But because it's like I'm not sure what the ply is on this, but it looks like maybe it's a 2 or 3 ply yarn. Could be a little bit more. I'm not sure. But, let's see here. I can figure that out. It's 1, 2. Looks like it's 4 ply. Yeah, it looks like it's 4 ply. So in places on this second skein, in like 3 different places, like 2 or 3 of the plies had like split, and so it was only holding together by one little thread. And if I knit that stitch like that, it would have the integrity of that part of the sweater would have been compromised. So what I ended up having to do was actually like cut the yarn there and then reattach. So I have all these weave-in ends, and I was a little annoyed. Like I had to do it in quite a few different places where this happened. And let's see, I can show you guys. So it happened right here on the underarm, like right there. And then again, like right here. And then again, think over here. So it was irritating. Whatever. I felt like I was adding, I'm making all these additional stops and starts, and I don't like that. I don't like I'd prefer to have one giant skein to make my entire sweater, but that doesn't always happen. I know I think there's maybe like one. I've seen Jill Draper make stuff yarn in like a ginormous skein, enough for a sweater, but most times you have multiple skeins to put together a sweater, which is fine. But having extra little break points really bugged me. I don't know. It's just me, maybe, I guess. But anyway, so far the sweater is going really fast. It's perfect television knitting, and I'm kind of practicing knitting in the round, like knitting without really looking at my work while I'm doing this. So just like sitting in front of the television and, kind of going to town on it without really looking. And I'm trying to practice getting faster by looking at other things and watching the TV and trying not to miss my stitches. So that's kind of difficult for me. I don't usually knit like this. I knit and I look at what I'm doing because I'm worried that I will end up dropping something. But yeah, so I've been practicing and I'm not very fast at it. As you can see, I'm like kind of slow, but it's good. I think it's a good challenge for me. It's been really fun. So my husband will be playing video games or something at night, and I will try to pay attention to his video game and what he's doing while I'm working on this sweater. So I've made some significant progress. with it since I last showed you guys. I think I just had my collar done last time. So anyway, that's my flax sweater. That's my slight challenge to myself because it is just stockinette, and it's going to be miles of stockinette for a while until I get back to the arms. I am trying to make it a little more interesting for me and a little more challenging, but perfect television knit, perfect beginner sweater knit. If you've never done a sweater and you're interested, this is a free pattern by, like I said, Tin Can Knits. It's called the Flax Sweater, and it has multiple sizes all the way from baby up to big grown-up. And I think I'm going to plan on making sweaters for my boys and my husband, like out of this pattern as well. So we'll see how that goes. I have some Imperial Columbia 2-ply that I want to use. It's like a nice chunky worsted kind of rustic yarn, and I think I'll use that for their sweaters, but I kind of wanted to get one under my belt for me first and see if I enjoyed it, if I thought the pattern was well done, which there are some interesting things that I found in the pattern for that I thought were a little bit more challenging than a traditional beginner pattern, and maybe it's just me, but I kind of expected a little more of the pattern to be spelled out, and like I said, they do a really good job. There is just one point, like I noticed, when you go from the collar and you're going to go on to start actually working the neck and the setup round, the instructions say increase by a total of 24 stitches evenly around the collar. And for me, I was like, oh, I have to do math? I have to figure out, like, okay, I have this many stitches and I gotta increase by this many stitches, and so how often should I put in the increases to make it even or roughly even? And so it would have been more helpful if they had said, if they kind of figured all that out for you, because you just have to kind of do it yourself, which is fine. I did it fine, but I don't know. I think I ended up doing it twice, because the first time I was like, oh, okay, I'll increase every, even after doing math, I didn't really realize I'm not good at math. I'm just going to say, like, it's not my strong suit. I don't do it super well in my head, and figuring out formula and stuff like that just doesn't always compute properly. So I did figure it out. It took me a couple tries to kind of get it even like I wanted. And I can understand why it's not in there, because they do so many different sizes. Figuring that all out, I mean, it was honestly like I had to increase every 4 stitches majority of the time, and a couple times I had to increase every 3rd stitch. And so you'd have to really, I mean, it is kind of fidgety, which, whatever. But that's the only thing that I have to say that was a little difficult or not as clear as I expected for a beginner pattern. I'm not a beginner, so for me, it wasn't a huge deal. It was just, I thought, because it was being marketed as a beginning pattern, that it would be a little bit more clear in that particular area, which it wasn't. So anyway, really still a lovely sweater, and free, so there's no complaining here. I like free, and you don't really find a lot of sweater patterns that are free. So thank you, ladies from thank you, Tin Can Knits, for leaving that out there. I really do appreciate the pattern. I was just, that was just a little more difficult for me. Maybe because my math skills are a little messed up, but oh well. Anyway, moving on. That was the flax sweater, and I really am enjoying it so far. So the next thing, let me get this put away. The next thing that I've been working on is in my You So and So bag. and it is my Hermione's Everyday Socks. And these are coming along. I've got quite a bit more than I did last time. I'm not as far as I would like, but if you guys remember, this is from a sock blank that I got from Gail's Art, and it was called Dancing Bunnies. And I split the sock blank up into 2 separate balls and started knitting on it. And I really, this is the part that's like I'm loving. So all those little different colors, that's where the bunnies were on the sock blank. And then the rest of it was like this like kind of a striping. So I have this blue and this like light peach on this one, which is, I should be probably getting to the next color change soon on that. So yeah, they're definitely mismatched, that's for sure. But they're Hermione's Everyday Sock. I think the author's Erica Luder. And it's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's probably the #1 sock pattern that's listed on Ravelry. And it's super easy, basic. If you're moving from beyond vanilla and you want to go into something a little more interesting, a little more design, a little more challenging, this is the perfect one because it is just a textured stitch pattern of knits and purls. Real easy. It looks really great in variegated yarn, I think. The first pair I did was in a variegated yarn, and I really enjoyed it, and so I think it looks really great. It has such a nice little soft, squishy texture. So that's that, and I'm doing that on my Addie US size 1 40-inch circular. Obviously I'm using it one, so I'm doing magic loop and working them 2 at a time. The 2 at a time method I follow is Mina from the Knitting Expat, her 2 at a time socks. She has a free 2 at a time sock pattern. It's like a tutorial basically on how to do 2 at a time socks, or how she does 2 at a time socks, and I like that method because most of the time my socks, when I do them 2 at a time, are cuffed down, and I hadn't found a cuff down tutorial that I liked, that I thought was easy enough to follow. So these ones, this one from her is really, she does a really good job showing, and I think she does have some YouTube videos that will show you how she does the cuffs and get started and things like that. So anyway, those are US size 1 Addies. They're on the lace turbos, and they're okay. I used to love my Addies. Now I've started using a couple different kinds, and I'm really liking my Chow-Goos now. I have my next pair of socks that I'll show you are on US 1 and a 40-inch cable, but they're Chow-Goos and they're red lace circular, and I love those. They're so much smoother and easier to work with, and I think maybe if I tried the turbo, like the lace point sock turbos that Addie has, it might be similar, but these ones have some like a metal coating for lace so that the stitches don't slip off super easily because of lace. It can be kind of challenging in that respect, but they're a little more fidgety to get, like I have to push kind of to get these onto my needles to get to work on them, and I don't like that. That's kind of fussy for me. And the Chow-Goos seem to go so well, so I'll show you guys those next. But anyway, those are coming along. I should hopefully have some more progress on those next time I see you guys. I'm going a little slower on my projects right now because I've got multiple ones on the needles, and I'm wanting to spend time a little bit on each of them. And some days I'm a little more, oh, I want to work on my sweater, and some days I'm a little more of a sock girl. and just depends. A lot of times I'll bring stuff with me when I go to work, so I have something to knit on my lunch break. And usually I'm listening to an audiobook when I'm doing that, and so I can follow a pattern fine when I'm listening to an audiobook, but it just depends on how much I'm in the mood for. Like the other pair of socks I'm going to show you is a design pair that I've been working on, and sometimes that one's a little more challenging because I'm doing the design as I go, and I'm trying to make sure that what I've got is working. But if it's like the Hermione's everyday socks or the flax sweater, those things seem to be, mindless, and I don't have to think about what I'm doing. And sometimes it's easier on my lunch break, if I only have a short period of time, just to work on something that's not very complicated. So I usually have multiple things. So I'm going a little slower, and that's just the way it is right now. Hopefully I will get some more time in on my knitting this week, more than I expected, more than you guys saw from the last one. I really didn't do hardly any knitting the last time because I was all obsessed about my sewing. So anyway, moving on, my next work in progress is in my pyramid bag, which one of my lovely viewers found the shop on Etsy. It's called Pistache Knitwear. And they do have lots of fabric and lots of triangle bags. So if you're interested in a triangle bag, this one is from them. And I like it a lot. It's got a little bit of interfacing in there. You can tell it's a little bit of, a little sturdier. It's kind of small. It doesn't really hold my 2 at a time socks that well, but maybe a single sock or a mitt. It does work really well to hold on your arm though and knit as you go, because the yarn comes out the top here. You don't have to zip it up as much if you were just doing like one at a time of something. These are my design socks, and the yarn is, don't drop, Bumble Birch. There we go. Bumble Birch and Wellspring, which is a 3-ply fingering weight, 100 grams, 490 yards, 100% superwash merino, and the color is Rosemary. This really pretty green. And these are the design socks I'm doing. And I only have, let me get this out of the way. I only have a little bit on these. I've worked through the first chart basically. And as I'm going, I've decided, like, I made a pair of these already, and I was really, thought I was being clever and took the design all the way down to the toe. But when I wear them now, my toe is like right in the lacy part of the bottom of the foot, the lacy part of the pattern at the top of the foot, right in the toe. It's like right there, and I'm worried that when I wear it for a significant amount of time or over the next year or so, my toenail is going to cut the yarn, and I'm going to end up having this big problem in my toe. So I'm going to be changing up the pattern just a little bit and altering that so I don't have that problem, because I don't want to put out a pattern for you guys that has a flaw like that. To me, that seemed, it was cute at the idea of it was cute, but not really something that I think is very practical. So I'm going to be changing up the bottom half of the foot, maybe keeping the lace pattern that I had before. I'm not sure, but right now, so far, the cabling and everything is the same. So I had considered just doing this cabling, but I'm going to keep the top part the way that it was and just figure out maybe a different pattern to put on the top of the foot. So I will keep you guys posted on that and where it is in the process of design as I go. And these are my Chow Goose that I love so much. These are US size 1. They're on the red lace circulars, and they just slide so nice from the cable onto the needle. There's no catch. Oh, it's great. Like, they work so much better. I'm gonna have to get another pair of these because I am not super happy with my addies in the way that works. So these are wonderful. I highly recommend these needles. Very sharp, pointy tips. Fabulous, great sock knitting needle. So that's those. This yarn is just lovely. The color is lovely. I am thrilled with it. Yeah, so those are my socks. My design. And that is like what I have for works in progress today. That's I didn't start anything new. I have some stuff that I really want to start. Like, there's a design cowl that I want to work on with some of the yarn that I got from Florida. There is a pair of socks that I just bought a pattern for from a gal that I really want to get started on, and those are toe up, and I'm not very comfortable with toe up, but I really want to give them a try again and make sure, kind of make sure that my skills are all there, that I can do all these different things, because that's the fun part for me. So, but I'm holding off. I want to finish at least another one of these pairs of socks before I cast on for something else. So I don't want to get stuck, because I do that sometimes. I get this startitis, or whatever you want to call it. It's like a syndrome. All I want to do is start different projects, and I need to finish some stuff. So I'm working on these 3 things right now, and hopefully by the next time I visit with you guys, I'll have one of them or 2 of them done, and I'll have started on something new by then. But that's what I have for now, and that's all. Like I said, the knitting stuff. I do have some stash enhancement type stuff, and I'll let me talk to you guys a little bit about that. This is from, I got this lovely skein of yarn from that is washing out. Chickadee Woolery. They are in near the Rogue River in Oregon, and I have bought stuff from them before, and this colorway, see that? It's called Pine Cone Ridge, and it's just fantastic. It's so like natural, with pops of like this natural base with pops of olive and mustard, a little bit of like red here, blackish olive. Oh gosh, I'm just loving it. I think these are going to be a pair of socks. I'm kind of thinking like a leafy sock pattern or something. These are so great though. And this little company was run by 2 ladies, and gosh, it's just washing out like really bad. They are on Etsy, and it's Chickadee Woolery. They shipped me out the yarn the next day. I got it the day after that. Like, so fast, and such good quality yarn. This is 400 yards, 100 grams, fingering weight, superwash merino wool. They do have some of their sock yarn is nylon superwash blend, and then they have some DK weight stuff, but they have some really, really nice colors and fun. So I recommend checking these ladies out. They are, like I said, on Etsy. So I'll have that information on my show notes. And yeah, really cute. They send they have it all wrapped up nice in like this brown paper. It's tied with twine. It's like has this lovely um, stencil cut like little bird, and then they give you this, she gave me this little stitch marker, and it was just like a circular stitch marker with a bead, and then gave me this little mini skein, which I wish I knew the color of this, and I'm gonna email her because I don't know if you can see that, but it is like gray with purples and pinks and blues, speckled, a little bit of yellow. And it's a really pretty little mini skein, but she didn't give me the content of the yarn or the colorway. So I'm not sure what this is, but it would be a great addition to a cozy memory blanket, which I'm not doing one right now. I have aspirations to do one, but it probably won't happen. I really want to do something with all of my leftovers. And I did design a hat last year or the year before, I think it was last year, called the Happy Scrappy Hat. And it's free, and it was basically a hat to use up leftovers. I should show you guys it. So I'm going to pause, and I will be right back with that hat so I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm back, and I have my Happy Scrappy Knit hat. This is what I did with some of my scrappy leftover yarn. And it's a slip stitch pattern. It's free on Ravelry. And it's great because you could do these little bands here as big or as small as you want. And so if you just have like a little bit of one yarn left like this, it could just be like a stripe or one of these sections. And it used up a lot of yarn. And for me, this was a little bit more quick and satisfying than the Cozy Memory Blanket, which feels like it would take me years and years to finish, which I know that that's the whole idea behind it is a project that you work on continuously. And I don't know, I would have a hard time, I think. I shouldn't say stuff like that, though, because then I'm going to get a bug later. I'll probably end up being like, oh, I'm making one now, and, disregard everything I said before. But for me, this one was a little bit faster, a little bit more satisfying, and was able to use up quite a bit of yarn. So if you're interested, this hat is on Ravelry already. It's free pattern. It's easy way to use up leftovers. So I just threw together some of the sock bits that I had left. Like there's this little one in here in the middle here between these two blues that I literally had like a teeny tiny amount of it left. And just kind of, threw together. And then I did the same here where I just had a little bit and I speckled the top of the hat. So you could do there's a speckled top hat version or a plain top hat version, and then I took all my scraps and made a little pom-pom, which I probably should have made a bigger pom-pom in, God, I can't even speak, pom-pom, not pam-pam. In hindsight, I think I should have made a bigger one, but I do really like this hat. I love the colors. I love how kind of wildy, crazy, like slapstick it is. It's definitely not ordered or organized. I just went with it, and I really enjoyed that. So that is that. And so this would be great in something like that, or in a cozy memory blanket. So that's all I have for stash enhancements this week. I have been trying really hard not to buy a lot of yarn, and I have been looking at a couple different things, and I have made some purchases, but they're not here, and they're not like one of them is not going to be here probably until like August because it's kind of like a mystery pre-order for this club that O Loops is doing. And then I had one that is a dyed to order from the lemonade shop. But so I should probably have that one maybe by the time I see you guys next. So little bits and pieces here and there, but I do really want to work on what's in my stash. And so that's why I have an idea for a cowl for using up some of the yarn I got from Florida and making kind of like a big chunky seed stitch / lace. I love seed stitch. Seed stitch to me is so beautiful. It's very sophisticated in my opinion, and it just looks really nice. And so I have this idea of this block seed stitch cowl with sections of like eyelet lace kind of worked in between. So that's in my head. I'm going to maybe try to throw together that. And then I also have some other, pardon me, sock yarn that I want to get working on too. So anyway, moving on. I do have some finished objects in sewing, which I'm really excited about. I have been obsessed with the Agnes top by Tilly and the Buttons, and I've made a couple more versions of it. And the dress behind me is the dress version, and in this version I did the ruched sweetheart neckline and then the ruffle sleeves. I'm touching her boob. Sorry, I'm not groping my mannequin, I promise. No, the ruched sleeves here in the short sleeve version. And I did add some pockets to this one, but I don't like them. And so the next one I won't add pockets to. And I think they don't lay super well, and that's why I don't like them as much, but it's fine. It's just, I didn't really realize with the knit fabric that it wouldn't have a nice clean line, and I want a clean line with my skirt. So maybe on a woven fabric it would be better, because the woven fabric has enough stiffness to it to begin with that the pockets wouldn't create a different silhouette. I just really didn't know that when I was making this dress. I thought, oh, pockets are cool in skirts. I love pockets in skirts. But it doesn't work out so well with this. So live and learn. The next one though, I did do a t-shirt, another t-shirt, and this one is a short sleeve, plain cap, so no ruffle or ruching there, and a little bit of ruching here at the neckline. And I really liked this one. It's turned out super cute. I have another one that I am working on right now in this really pretty orange, which I think might turn into another dress without the pockets. The dresses are so comfortable right now for me, and all I want to wear is dresses. So I'm going to be making more. I need to find a different pattern though, you guys. I'm like overly obsessed with this Tilly and the Button Agnes top, which is great. But that's all I'm going to end up having in my wardrobe if I don't do something about it. So that is, I need to find another one. So if you have any suggestions for another like a jersey knit t-shirt, dress, tank top would be cool. That would be great. I would love your suggestions. I have been looking a little bit online as well, and I found a couple different things that I think I just haven't bought patterns for. So we'll see. Oh, you guys, my yachts are coming. The yachts are coming. Watch out. Hopefully you guys won't get attacked by them as well. I'm sorry. It is not that early. I have only had 1 cup of caffeinated beverage, so I probably need some more, but we're going to get through this. And anyway, so those are my 2 sewing projects. I really don't have a whole lot to talk about in any of the other crafty world interests right now. So that's what we've got for today's show, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you like the video, please subscribe to the channel. And oh, be sure to check out the Ravelry group which is the Yarn and Ewe Girl Podcast Ravelry group. It is where I post show notes, and also if we do any questions, any knit-alongs, that stuff will be done in the Ravelry group. I also put my show notes on my website, yarnandewe.com, on the blog posts there, and you can find me on those places. So thanks again. Happy crafting. I know you're making beautiful things out there, and I look forward to spending time with you in 2 weeks. Bye.